Welcome to the session, Developing Blockchain Valley and Managing Innovation. We have with us Kaavya Prasad, who's co-founder and CEO of Lumos Labs, Mr. Prashanth Swaminathan, who's partner and head of institutional business, Woodstock Fund, and Mr. Vivek Gupta, who's country head for R3. Welcome. Vivek, my first question to you is, how blockchain is used in enterprises nowadays to navigate the supply chain maze and the logistics nightmare, because everyone is giving an excuse. It's not an excuse, but there's a great hindrance in supply chain right now. And how can blockchain come in to solve this problem?
Sure. So I think one of the big users of enterprise blockchain that has been identified globally and what we are seeing being adopted at scale is around supply chain finance, logistics, and trade finance. What blockchain enables at its core is it solves the information asymmetry that exists between various parties within the system. And it also solves for a lot of these archaic processes which exist, especially in the trade finance system, where your bill of lading has to be sent across, for example, via courier from the shipper to the receiver, and that itself may take 2 or 3 weeks or stuff like that. So there are multiple global as well as domestic applications where blockchain has added value. Globally, at least from an R3 perspective, we run 2 major networks. One is called as Contour, which is focused on the global letter of credits space, and one is called as Marco Polo, which is focused on the open account space. Domestically, there is a consortium of banks which has come called the IBBIC, which is focused on domestic trade finance. And from what we have seen there, you would be surprised. You would think that, within India, transit might be easier, but we did it with a big corporate where we realized that the cycle time for a letter of credit to be processed within India was somewhere between 5 to 8 weeks. And we were able to reduce that by 75% using blockchain-enabled technologies. So this is one area where blockchain has really found its sweet spot. It allows transparency. It allows visibility into for multiple parties into a single trade finance transaction. And overall, it makes the life of the big corporates, the banks, as well as the small and medium enterprises much, much more easier.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you for that insight. I will definitely come back to you later on the data sharing aspect of it and how NFTs come into picture for enterprises. Until then, I want you to throw some light on the trends in investment landscape when it comes to blockchain-based projects or also decentralized finance or with NFT coming in. What are the trends you're going to see and what do you already see worthy of investments?
So yeah, sure. So the trends we see, which is more focused on public chains, is I would say split into 3 main domains, right? One is what we call as convergence, which is our outlook that the underlying technology at this moment is consolidating, and we foresee this space of public blockchains to be a multi-chain world going forward. And we believe that with the bedrock of blockchain, there will be other emerging technologies assimilating on top of it to build futuristic technologies. And this could be AI, ML, VR, and AR, etc. And we focus on identifying what are the technological layers at the blockchain and the middleware levels that facilitate creation of these futuristic applications. The second theme is what we call financialization, which is an extension of the DeFi language. So DeFi that we have seen over the last 12 to 18 months proliferate is proof enough that the technology works great and creates a lot of efficiencies. But we think we will see a lot more merging of DeFi with traditional finance, and we will see the supply coming in from DeFi, whether at a global level, and it will merge with demand coming in from real life use cases that requires access to such supply of liquidity. And we are looking at identifying projects that are building these mergers and these rails between traditional finance and DeFi, and solving real world use cases as well in enabling this transition of liquidity. The third aspect is virtualization, which again today is probably a small subset called NFTs. We foresee this expanding into a bigger picture, into a virtual world where each of us will be spending a lot more time in the digital and virtual spaces, and we will start assigning more and more value to digital representations of physical forms, be it our avatars, or be it attending concerts in these virtual spaces, or collectibles, etc. Right? So these are the themes that we are focusing on. We see where the space is today. We have a view on where it goes over the next decade, and we pretty much try to identify the right teams that are solving the right problems in getting us from today into our vision over the next decade.
Prashant, thank you for that last bit of input on the metaverse aspect as well. What do you see the timeline, the realistic timeline of it happening?
See, if you had asked me this 2 years ago, I would have said over a 10 to 20 year period. But what has happened through the lockdowns is appreciation for anything digital and virtual has just gone through the roof. If you look at e-commerce, if you look at social media, if you look at anything that has brought in like a technology layer to make lives easier during these lockdowns, then it just proves that anything digital has just been lapped up by the masses, right? So the product market fit for digital revolutions is has accelerated massively through the last 18 months. So at this point, I would say the vision we had over like a 10 to 20 year period has been shortened to something in the, I would say, 5 to 8 year period, right? And having said that, when you say metaverse, then that's a very broad term as well. So over a 5 to 8 year period, we see a lot more of our activity and value accrual, and also expenditures happening in the digital space. And we see themes such as play to earn, or play to earn, and even utilization of VR sets, and other gaming aspects, and other concert aspects, immersive experiences, etc., just going through the roof over the next 5 years. And I would say over this timeline that I mentioned, we should see something of the sort of like tangible metaverse developing. And Facebook, even though it is a centralized version of this, they creating this, and they having Oculus as the VR headset over there, automatically exposes metaverse as a concept to 3 billion people who are there, who use Facebook, right, or have used in the past. So that will translate into more and more people adopting various aspects of a metaverse, and that should trickle automatically into many of those people adopting metaverses in the decentralized world as well.
Sure.
So with respect to the Telangana government, I'm going to repeat myself again now here.
No, please take your time. That's fine.
So they're pretty forward thinking when it comes to blockchain as a technology, and they're one of the first governments, state governments in India to actually implement it in real world solution, which is land registry in their state, right? And they've actually put all the data on the blockchain to make it more immutable. So the kind of solutions that they are looking for are mostly in the public sector, and they look at supply chain, healthcare, insurtech, all going decentralized to make it essentially more secure and immutable, and they're ready to support it. So they've done a couple of initiatives. So they are looking at a blockchain district in Telangana, and this is in the works, and I think the pandemic has slowed it down a little bit, but they are working to kind of come together and make Telangana the blockchain hub of India, and bring in a sort of a Zug or a crypto valley feel to it in India, and get in a community of startups, developers, ecosystem enablers, VCs, all sitting out of one place to actually make it that powerhouse. With that being said, we've run multiple, outward facing programs with them, ranging from startup accelerators to series of meetups to, educate people who are new to this technology and actually get them to look at this technology in a more serious manner. There have been a lot of outcomes from, the accelerators that they've run. So they haven't really let go of, what happens next. And they've actually tried to, pilot with some of the projects projects, and there are 3 startups that they have piloted with in the last accelerator, and they're also looking at running several more in the coming years as a series of accelerators to instill that mindset and encourage innovators to come in and build more in the space, and which is a very good sign, having the whole regulatory aspect to the technology and cryptocurrencies in general. This is very encouraging to see that the government has taken that step forward towards enabling the innovators in positively. So
Kaavya, stay with me for a while, and I also want you to throw some light on this. Now, when we saw the fintech innovation that happened in Vizag, extending on that, what is this trend of tier 2 cities leading transformation, and where do you see this going forward?
Oh, was that directed to me? Sorry, I thought
Yes,
you said
yes, to you.
Vivek. All right. Right. So with respect to tier 2 cities, I come from a community background, and I'm going to speak for the community. As my organization runs innovation programs, the idea is to actually get to the grassroots of that community and get innovators from tier 2, tier 3 cities and colleges to actually come and build and innovate and find new ways of solving a problem in a different manner, right? And we have seen this growth actually happen very predominantly in the programs that we run. So for example, we ran a hackathon with a company called Filecoin Protocol Labs. They have the IPFS infrastructure, and it's funny how I saw all the winners of the hackathon from tier 3 and tier 2 cities and tier 3 colleges. And I would expect NITs and IITs and students from there to come out and actually build something great, right? But it is very interesting to see that this technology is actually kind of seeped into that mindset, and the chip on the shoulder, I would say, that tier 2 and tier 3 students have to prove themselves right, has actually shown through in this technology, and they've kind of leveraged the knowledge that is kind of out there with respect to the education programs that are being run to upskill developers in this technology, and it has kind of reached the grassroots of the community, and that is something I've seen in the tier 2, tier 3 cities and colleges. So that is something that is pretty positive. Of course, IITs and NITs, all of them do have the the resources, the knowledge, and the professors to help them out and get them to the next level. But this is something that was pretty interesting to watch, and this has happened over and over again in many of the programs that we've run.
That's good news, and kudos to them. Also, Vivek, let's come to you. And as I earlier mentioned, NFTs are not just going to be restricted to the art world now, and it can also act as a basis for data sharing among companies and corporates or various sectors. And as manufacturing sector has shown time and again that they need these kind of data to function smoothly in cross section. How do you think that is going to come up, and what are the trends that you're going to spot? How easy it will be for enterprises to adopt?
So let me start from the second half of your question, how easy it is going to be for enterprises to adopt. And I say this in almost every event that or engagement that I have, is that if adoption of blockchain, the ease of adoption of blockchain is just getting exponentially easier year on year. Not even just year on year, it's getting exponentially easier month on month. When I got into the industry 4-5 years ago, if you looked at the effort that was required to set up a blockchain node, right, compared to the effort that I see in my current projects, there is almost like a 99, 95, 97% reduction in the effort required. So similarly, the thing will be with NFTs as well. Already we see some protocols which are geared up towards NFTs coming in. There are NFT platforms coming up to make adoption easier. So adoption moves on a curve, and with time, it's because of the smart brains who are working in this space. Adoption and deploying it is going to become much more easier. I think with NFTs, the biggest challenge and the opportunity is to figure out where do enterprises play in this space. As of now, I think people are looking at it with a slightly myopic vision of just fundraising for their artistic activities or collectibles and stuff like that. But as you rightly said, in manufacturing, design element that is there could become an NFT and ensure that a designer who's designing a specific machine part could be compensated for it, right? So I think NFTs will get there. It will take a bit of time, but it will get there. I would be very keen to see what the combination of potentially an NFT and a technology like 3D printing would bring about, especially in the enterprise space. But exciting times ahead if we just expand our horizons a bit.
Sure. We'll look forward to that space, and it's quite exciting for the enterprises, I would say. Prashant, there has been, we've spoken about such interesting use cases and all the positive aspects of it. Where are the chinks in the armor? Are there barriers to the funding? If yes, then where are they?
Are you talking specifically about NFTs in this case?
I'm talking about blockchain. And if you can mention about NFTs for sure, but I don't want it to be restricted, synonymous to crypto or NFTs only.
Got it. Okay. See, in terms of funding with respect to blockchain specific solutions, we are in a phase where I guess the adoption across developers, users, enterprises, institutions is probably at an all-time high, right? And which is great in terms of the long-term prospects of blockchain as a technology. Where we are extremely cautious right now is that there is an element of froth or hype as well that has crept into this space. So the diligence that you do has to be extremely precise and also deep to ensure that whoever is trying to build anything in this space, be it across decentralized finance or NFTs or even the technology layers or enterprise side, etc. They are doing it because they're trying to solve the right problem, and they come with the right pedigree and background, as opposed to trying to ride a wave at this point because it's the in thing again, right? So that is what gives us a lot of pause for caution as a fund in terms of how we go about investing into projects. And there is also an element of certain companies wanting to push this through a lot faster because there is so much capital lying around, and there is so much pressure to not just raise but also to invest, right? So that is something we are again extremely cautious on, and which is why having a process-driven approach and a thesis-driven approach is critical, because if you are in this space for the long term, then you need to be patient, and that applies as much to us as a fund as it does to any enterprise or any startup or anyone investing in this space as well, right? So I would say that is where it's not a chink in the armor of the technology as such. It's just having to be patient and ensuring that whomever you're backing comes with the right pedigree, the team, the technology, the traction, the timing, and the total addressable market. All of them make sense, and they are in it for the right reasons. So it's probably a roundabout answer to your question, but that is what gives us a lot of pause for concern. Otherwise, I've outlined the way we look at our three themes, right? And our thesis is very clearly defined. So that ways we have a clear vision on where we see this space going. It's more the subjective matters that we spend a lot more time on to ensure that people who are building are trying to solve the right problem and are in it for the right reasons.
Sure, Prashant. You actually gave me a quick investment thesis of yourself, of Woodstock Fund. I appreciate that. But if I have to ask you, at the cost of sounding repetitive, what are the quick red flags you spot?
Hello. Sorry, Vaishnavi, I just lost you there for like 10 seconds. I think it was at my end. Yeah.
I'll repeat the question. So, of course, you talked to us about your whole investment thesis in general and what is the criteria you look at. But if I have to ask you, the quick red flags you spot, and you said, no, this is not a safe bet.
Yeah, so I can give you a few examples here, right? So say someone is, see, look, again, technology it is a panacea for all problems in the world, right? In the sense that if someone comes and tells me that I am going to revolutionize Uber, right, and I'll make a decentralized Uber, then great. I mean, as a problem, it sounds something that you would want to solve, but you have to look at, is the technology and the infrastructure ready for solving something of that sort today, right? So anything at an application level that feels like it's not yet ready in terms of timing, that's a clear red flag, because then the team that is trying to do that has probably not done their homework very well in terms of how robust is the infrastructure to support something like that. And it's great to say I will decentralize something like an Uber, but then how do you create network effects around your application, right? So it's not a red flag, but it's just it is just trying to use fancy terminology to create a solution for a problem that cannot be solved today. The second type of red flag I would say is trying to create a problem and try to solve it, but the team itself has no background or pedigree, and they have not done anything in this space for more than say a few weeks or a month, right? And then that is very easy to catch with just a few questions in terms of whether they that again is like how are you so confident that you can solve this, and is there like have you done your research, and what is your background as well, right? So that is another obvious red flag for us. Otherwise, look, in terms of Web3 as a holy grail for this space, there are a lot of people and a lot of smart people and deeply motivated people in India who want to solve, who want to get involved in this space, and we try and again encourage them to think of this space from a long-term standpoint, and we try to guide them to make sure that they learn the basics of Web3, and they stay close to it as well. And again, it need not just be that we want to look at a project to try and fund it, and it does not mean that anyone who comes up with like some of these red flags has bad intentions, right? It could just be that they are eager, but they just don't understand it enough. So it is our responsibility at that time as well to handhold them to an extent and guide them in the right way, so they can be prepared when the timing is right for them to try and solve some of these problems that they have raised.
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Prashanth, Vivek, and Kaavya, for your time and for giving us the insights on the whole blockchain ecosystem and the deep tech ecosystem in India, and where are the opportunities and where are the pitfalls that we can look for and come together as an ecosystem to help budding talent and for a lot of investment and capital to come into the country. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thanks, Vaishnavi. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.